This is Ben Hall, and you're listening to Leaders in the Next podcast.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to Leaders in the Next podcast. You know, anyone following Michigan football knows that running the football is very important to our success, and Michigan has been blessed to have some great running backs. Recently, those names would include Karan Higdon, 2015 class at Michigan, two-time All-Big Ten honoree. Son Haskins, member of the 2018 class. I don't think anybody's ever going to forget his 5 touchdowns against Ohio State in 2021. I know I won't. Dan and I were there. It was the greatest thing ever. And then, of course, with Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, Khalil Mullins. Well, today's guest, Ben Hall, is one of the guys who's going to be called on to step in once Khalil and Donovan move on after the season. And the good news is Ben has a ton of eligibility left, and he has plenty of years to put his stamp on this program. Ben, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, what's going on? Happy to be here, man.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to talk to you. We're always interested in hearing about the guys that are kind of moving up and are going to be the names that are going to be called on an awful lot. And I suspect yours is one of them. Before we dive into football, we always love hearing about, tell us a little bit about your family. You got brothers and sisters. I knew you grew up, you went to high school in Georgia, but right. Tell us a little bit about your background.
I come from a 2-parent household, older brother, younger sister. I was born in Rhode Island, actually, moved around South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida. My dad always coached college basketball, so he bounced around a lot. And then my mom was a high school teacher.
Ah, okay, okay.
Your dad coached college. Did you ever think about playing college basketball then?
I hoped, but only grew so tall. So.
Well, I read that you played point guard on the basketball team, right?
Yeah, I did.
Were you a good point guard? So were you a guy that just got in the paint and could penetrate, dish off? Were you a good 3-point shooter? What was your game like?
I think it kind of reflects my game on the field is in terms of just using my vision to make plays, passing the ball, just making the plays when they need to be made. And that was kind of my thing, is just being a good playmaker, being a good player, being a good IQ of the game kind of guy.
Now, we've talked to a lot of your teammates during the podcast, and of course, guys at your level from an athleticism standpoint played a lot of sports. So there are a lot of guys that play basketball, and you've probably done some pickup basketball. We've heard a lot of guys say they were the greatest player on the team. Who's your starting 5 in a pickup game, assuming the coaches would let you play?
You got to have Alex out there. I mean, he's pretty much unguardable. Gets to the rim with ease. TJ Guy's really good. Keon Sabb was really good before he left. Kendrick Bell's really good. I think we could have a 12-man roster. That's just a really good squad of guys, to be honest.
Yeah, they probably don't want you guys playing too much basketball. No, off limits here. So
see Andrew Gentry's game at all?
I haven't. I'm sure he gets it done though. But
I think he was a big time player in high school.
He was,
really.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So
he's pretty good too.
What's that?
I heard Tristan Bounds is pretty good coming out too.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Another big dude. Not guys. I'm sure they're not guarding you, and you don't want to guard them. So, pick your poison.
You mentioned your siblings. Were they athletes as well?
Yeah, my brother played basketball throughout high school. Played a year of college football. My sister is actually just turned 4, so we hope she kind of figures out what she wants to do at some point.
It's got to be cool to have a young sister that age. She's probably does she follow you around and she had a chance to come to games?
Yeah, she came to the first 3, I want to say, but she's pretty much the only child at this point. We're all out the house. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to trade tips with your parents to figure out how to get a 4-year-old to sit through a football game, because that's I got a daughter who's 4. That's my next challenge. So we'll have to trade notes sometimes.
Yeah, I don't think she's doing much sitting up there.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Well, so you eventually found your way to Georgia, and you went to North Cobb High School, and where you were part of the back-to-back regional title winning teams at North Cobb. A lot of talent on that team. A lot of guys, went to the next level and ended up being rated a 3-star by, there's a zillion different ratings agencies. And, I always love reading some of their reports. But when you see these ratings evaluations of your own game, what did you think?
I just think every time I see something like that, it's like someone trying to put me in a box. Because if you cut on the tape, I don't think there's anything I can't do. So it always kind of take them with a grain of salt, just because they kind of try to put you in a box with those kind of ratings.
Yeah.
What do you think those, if you kind of step back and think about them, like, what do you think those national recruiting agencies, whatever they are, like, what do you think they get right and what do you think they get wrong?
I think the only thing they're getting exactly right is where you're from, who you play for, and the picture on the screen. But even with terms of like height and weight, they're never really dead on, to be honest. So they're only getting what you tell them, pretty much. So.
Well, speaking of height and weight, were you 5'11", 235 at high school?
In high school, I was probably like 225.
225? Okay.
Around there.
All right.
It is funny because, there's a lot of, I think, amnesia, like, about athletes and ratings, especially at Michigan. Like, Hassan Haskins and Ronnie Bell are two names that come up, and they were overlooked by the services either because of where they played. I think they're both from Missouri, and they played at smaller schools. And Ronnie, I think, played 2 sports. And so there's all these different factors besides, 8 or 9 games a year that the scouts see. But yet, like, even though those are 2 of our most successful players, people still flock to those things and, like, can't move off of them if they think that they're not, they're not 5 stars, at least 4,
Yeah. I think as a fan, that's like all you kind of have is to go off of, because, our fans, they just kind of tend to click on whatever is the hot button at the moment. So love our fans, but just sometimes they kind of tend to cling on whatever's the hot button topic at the moment. So
there's often more than meets the eye, right? Like, in any case, it's recruiting or what's on the field. But I will say, even though they may have gotten some things wrong, you do have one of the best. Before these podcasts, we look everybody's ratings up and, like, what people said about them. You have some of the best adjectives, though, positive ones about your high school play. Physical. These are just the highlights. Physical, bruising, tree trunk legs, runs like a train, runs angry, battering ram. Those are the highlights. Did they at least get that part right?
I guess. Whatever they say is what it is. I'm not going to tell them they're wrong. If that's what they see, it's what it is.
So tell us about your recruitment journey, coming out of, where did you, who were you talking to in terms of, possibly playing at the next level? Where did you take your visits?
I only visited maybe like 3 or 4 schools. I went to Michigan, obviously, South Carolina. I went to Vanderbilt, but I wasn't too interested in Vanderbilt. I went to Alabama and Cincinnati, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. I didn't take a whole lot of visits, though, but I kind of shut my recruitment down early with Michigan, to be honest.
So it's just curious. Fans are always like insight into some of these visits. How were they dramatically different from school to school, or do they pretty much follow a similar script?
In terms of like how the days are structured on these visits, they're all the same, but I think outside of the official visit, like the unofficial visit was more beneficial to me, and just seeing what the city actually looks like and kind of meeting people. Because, the official visits are a little more structured to kind of make you like the place. And so on the unofficial visit, you kind of just get the raw feel of the place.
Okay. Yeah. And did you take official and unofficial visits to Michigan?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. What game? I'm just curious. What games did you go to?
I didn't go to any games, actually. My first game was the spring game here.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we're going to get to that. The game you played in?
Yeah, it was the first time I'd been in the big house, actually.
Oh, man. Okay, we're going to touch on that later. But just before we get to that, so what was it about U of M? It's obviously it's not close to home. The weather's different. Yeah, it's what drove you to say, okay, I'm here?
I'd say just the environment. I feel like it matches what I'm about, just hardworking, being about your business, and just being around a collective group of guys that all have the same mindset and wanting to get better and just wanting to take care of business on and off the field. So that's kind of what drew me here the most. And I really liked Coach Hart, really like Coach Harbaugh, really like Coach Herb. And so when you have all those three guys, I mean, it's kind of hard to say no to a place like this.
I was listening to an interview that you did. You said, hey, it felt like home, and this was after the point that you had committed. You've heard that before, but I'm curious, what about it felt like home to you?
I mean, honestly, when I saw the weight room and the indoor field, I just knew that's the place where I could go to work every day. And so, a place where I can feel like I can go and grow is home to me.
That's awesome. Now that was the weight room. That's what feels like home. I love that. That's incredible.
Now, a lot of people think of home and they think geography or close to home, their physical home. And we have not we've not taken a lot of guys out of Georgia historically. I think if my math is right, including the 2002 class through last year, we had 19. Michigan had only taken 19 guys out of Georgia. And we've had long stretches where we didn't take anybody. So, I mean, if you look at like Lloyd Carr in 2006, two guys out of Georgia. And for those old folks listening, that's David Cohn and Carlos Brown. And then we went 9 straight classes with 0 people from Georgia. Harbaugh comes in, reignites it in 2022. And there were some more before even early in his, but in most recently we've got Marlon Klein, 22 class. 23, we got Ben and we got Nathan Afobe. I guess we could count Miles Hinton as a somewhat of a 2023 class, even though he transferred in originally class of 2020, but he's from Georgia. Then 2025, we got 3 guys verbally committed: Donovan Johnson, Chase Taylor, and Julius Holly. When you look at that, maybe it's obvious, like, oh, gee, Michigan's just had more success, but what is it about Michigan recruiting the state of Georgia that maybe has changed? Because there's so many great SEC programs that are within a 3-hour car ride, Yeah. Why has it been looking pretty good for us to pull all that talent out there?
I don't know. I mean, I think if I was a young guy looking into a situation like Michigan, a place where you can get the best of both worlds, I think people are starting to kind of grow in what they want for their kids in terms of, a lot of people were football or die, but now people are wanting more for their kids and are looking life past football. So I think that's where we're starting to get more kids from that area.
Oh, that's good. Was it hard?
Was satellite camp? Did you ever? Because he did a satellite camp down in Georgia, but that would have been like 2016. He pulled his shirt off. Did that weigh on your decision at all? Nah,
I didn't even live there yet. But just Harbaugh's energy in general was so easy to gravitate towards.
Was it clearly? I don't think it was hard for you to go far from home, but maybe you were homesick. Did that factor in? Did you say, I like Michigan. I like, the life after football concept in the weight room, but man, it's far from home. Was that an issue?
Nah, I feel like I'd moved around so much that like going away from home, everything in life had already prepared me to do that. So being up here didn't really cause me any struggle being away from home. And I'd always kind of been an independent kind of kid. So it was just another step in the road to kind of start my life.
Okay.
Any fun moments going back to Georgia as a national champion? Did you get any good trash talk in?
You're always going to hear the trash talk from the Georgia natives. But even beyond going back to the national championships, going back and hanging out with the guys I used to play ball with, because those memories will kind of never fade.
Yeah.
Now, as you mentioned earlier, and folks that follow this, Mike Hart was the running back coach, recruited you. Harbaugh was the head coach. Both those guys are now gone.
Right.
And Herbert's gone. The guy that was your favorite weight room, he's gone. Tell us a little bit about how those changes impacted you.
Definitely sad to see him go. I was only around him for a year, but that year kind of impacted me a lot, helped me grow into a man. In terms of all of them, just kind of helping lead me into becoming a better person, better athlete. So definitely a new kind of system to adjust to, but everyone who's taken the place of those 3 great men is just as great. I'd say just as great as them in terms of what they want for me to be great and what they want for this team to be great. So I think there's no drop off for real.
Now, no, most people are obviously familiar with the guy that replaced Jim Harbaugh because Jerome has been around 6 years, I think, before. But Tony Alford. Now, here's a guy. Well, first of all, he was a great running back in the day at Colorado State, and 6 seasons. But he's coached at some of our most bitter rivals. 6 seasons at Notre Dame, and then 9 years, I think, at Ohio State. Have you seen his? How well has he transitioned from being almost a lifelong Buckeye to a new Wolverine? Has it been hard for him, you think?
Nah, I don't think it has. Once he kind of saw the culture of the place, he realized that all the hatred, it's really hard to hate us, to be honest, because we're just such a group of guys who love each other and want the best for each other. So, I mean, how could you really hate that environment? I hate being in that environment.
Has Coach Alford put on any of his tape for you? Made you watch it?
A little bit of his tape from back in the day. He's faster than you'd think. He definitely doesn't look the way he used to look, but he was back.
None of us do, Ben.
I was going to say, man, as you get older, it's hard to keep the weight off. But he was a 1,000-yard rusher, and he's like a Doak Walker finalist or semifinalist or something like that back in the day. So no, he clearly was. So I'm just curious. Has he any stories or things you can share that he said about Ohio State, like key differences between Ohio State and Michigan, maybe as it relates to practice or how they conduct themselves?
He's always talking about how we meet way more than them. Like, this is the most meeting time he's ever been around. And then just in terms of like the way he talks about our room and talks about this team, he just feels a different kind of love that this team embodies, and the team chemistry we have is just so much different from any place he's ever been. So I think that's what he harps on the most.
That's great to hear.
Can I go back to the recruiting a bit? Earlier when you were talking about that process, you mentioned getting put into a box in relation to, maybe in general, but also with your recruitment, that you were put into a box. What box do you think you were put in, and what were the things that that you thought were core attributes, core skills that people didn't maybe see or recognize? I'm just curious about that comment, because I wrote it down and I felt like, I think I know what it might be, but I'm curious to hear your take on it.
I think when everyone just kind of looks at my physical attributes, they kind of deem me as a downhill, run through people's face kind of guy. And I mean, I can do that, but I just feel like there's better ways to make plays sometimes, where you got to use your vision, use your feet, different ways to make plays. And so I think that there's nothing that I can't do on the field to go out there and make a play. And so when you kind of put me in that box of a physical downhill rusher, you're kind of taking away from everything else I can do to make big plays on the field. Yeah,
and I know we'll get to some of the spring game work, and then obviously you've played quite a bit. You played a lot in the Michigan State game last year, Indiana game last year, and vision was on full display. So I know we'll get into that more later.
You mentioned you saw the weight room and kind of it was love at first sight. And then Ben Herbert, clearly, one of the fan and player favorites, and Justin Tress sounds like he stepped in nicely. But what are some of the things of how is that strength? It sounds like you were probably you're no stranger to the weight room. What was it about the strength and conditioning at Michigan that really helped you continue to develop as a player?
Well, they always kind of use the phrase they're not kind of building us to make us like bigger, faster, stronger. They're making us harder to break. And so that kind of adds on to like the thing I like the most is just like we're not in there doing things to kill our bodies. We're just doing things that are going to make us the best we can be. And so, there's definitely dog days in there, but everything we're doing is beneficial. So that's what I like the most about being in that area of the facility.
Now, a lot of people hear strength and conditioning and they think it's literally like just getting stronger and fat, but it sounds like there are some drills or exercises they do to work on your mental toughness. Care to share kind of some examples of what that looks like?
Sometimes they'll just line us up and have us do something, and we don't know when it's going to end, but just kind of got to keep going until you can't anymore, because that's kind of how our season's looking. You don't know what it's going to take to win, so you just got to keep doing whatever it takes until that clock runs out.
we heard about a drill. We were talking to some other folks. They told us about a drill where you got partnered up, and you had to put your partner on a sled, I think, and you pushed him a long, long way. Who'd you get partnered up with on the sled? Because big difference in. I was just curious who you got, who you drew.
I mean, we'll get different guys, different days. I mean, I've gotten anyone from like Cody Jones to, Alex Orji. I think I pulled Raheem Anderson.
Oh.
You'll get different guys, different days, but no matter what the guy you're getting, you kind of try to find a way to balance it out, whether that's grabbing some extra 45 plates and throwing them on the sled with them, or just doing whatever you can to maximize each rep.
That's awesome.
Now, I know you were an early enrollee, and I'm at Michigan. Just out of curiosity, what was that motivation versus just kind of hanging around in high school and coming in with the normal class? What was your motivation for coming here early?
That's always been the goal and dream, is to just get this whole process started early, getting a jump on things. And furthermore, I just wanted to start my life a little sooner. I loved being at home, but there's a time where you kind of feel like you got to move on and start the next phase of your life. And so I felt like once my high school season ended, the next step was just getting up here as fast as I can and taking care of business.
And what was that like? So you show up and you're pretty young still, right? And your first practice, and you said you hadn't even been to the stadium. What was the emotion like when you come out for your first practice? You got the pads on for the first time. You see a bunch of guys that are all were great in high school. All are big and fast and strong. And tell us a little bit about that first practice.
My first practice was actually the game leading up to the bowl out in Arizona, and so I kind of got a feel for things then, and then from then on it was just kind of building up for that first spring practice, whether it's talking trash to the guys or just getting myself psyched up. And but once you're out there on the field, you kind of got to find a way to relax yourself to go out there and make the plays that you can make. And so whether that's having a little song in my head in between snaps, or just having something to bring me back down to earth so I can line up and make the next play.
Now, we were talking earlier about the recruiting, and some of the ratings, and some of the fans again were wondering, hey man, why this guy barely played his senior year in high school, man. Why did we take this guy? And then in the 2023 spring game, you go for almost 100 yards, 1 touchdown. Somehow, I think there was bad AstroTurf near the 10-yard line where you tripped up and almost got your second touchdown. So I'm sure it wasn't your fault. So you almost had, basically, let's call it 2 touchdowns and 100 yards. And people are going, man, where'd this guy come from? How did that, first of all, are you aware of that kind of conversation, on social media? And if so, how did it make you feel to kind of go out there and say, hey, I belong?
I don't know. I was aware of it a little bit, but I just feel like going out there making plays wasn't really to prove anyone outside of the building wrong. It was just kind of to go out there and prove everyone who believed in me right. And so whether that's just making everyone believe that Coach Hard knew what he was doing, or making everyone believe that Coach Harbaugh knew what he was doing, but just going out there and doing whatever I can to go out there and make a play, kind of bring faith in the guys around me to believe in me to go make plays on any given Saturday.
Yeah, I think you demonstrated. There's obviously highlights on, internet's got everything these days. There highlights are out there, and I think you demonstrated you weren't just a downhill runner. There were some good plays in there. So I think that's exciting. It portends great for the future for the program.
I'm curious about your perspective on just utilization overall. I do feel like there's a change in the way running backs are perceived, and in a way, I think that's positive, which is if you're sharing time, that's not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing, just in terms of protecting longevity, because high school is a long time, college can be 4 years, maybe more. The NFL hopefully is a long time. So I'm curious, for someone who, as a ding potentially in high school, being that you shared the workload, and then now sharing the workload at Michigan, does your perception of utilization change though, seeing the way that it's a little bit different the way running backs are managed now in terms of preserving them for what I would call the long haul? Just curious if that if that's changed your outlook on things, particularly as you've transitioned into Michigan.
I think Michigan being a place, knowing we're going to run the ball 30, 40 times a game, you kind of have to have that balance of guys who can go in there and make plays at any given moment. So I think being here has taught me that, just kind of staying ready, but also that it's beneficial to have someone next to you who can go out there and make plays just as good as you, because it kind of keeps the team going, keeps drives going, and makes more plays for you to go out there and have, because it'll sustain drives and put points on the board.
It's crazy how long the seasons are. I mean, I remember last year, obviously we played 15 games, and when you look at the snap counts of people, it's a long season. Like, there's a lot of football to be played, and keeping guys fresh, even starter, I remember on defense, I think starters were, playing 35 to 40 snaps out of 75, which if you can do that, that's great. And obviously
right.
It's good to keep guys healthy.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
Now, speaking of kind of guys, rotating in or having a lot of, when you showed up here, we have like Blake, Donovan, Khalil, and they've played a ton of snaps. I mean, curious, what's it like playing with those guys?
Just a blessing to be around those guys. Last year, looking back, was a blessing, being around guys to just kind of be able to learn, take the whole year to learn. Obviously in the moment you're thinking like, yeah, I'm ready to go. I can go out there and make a play at any given moment. And I still feel like I could have, but just now the game has slowed down so much for me in terms of just seeing things happen a little slower and just being able to go ahead and make that play that I want to make. And so I feel like there's no play I can't make now.
What's, I know I've seen other interviews where you've talked a lot about, Blake, and obviously, he's a, hell of a player and person. What are some of the, can you share with us, what are some of the big things you took away from your time with Blake?
He definitely taught me a bunch of stuff on the field in terms of helping me slow the game down, play with more confidence. But even just beyond that, some of the things we've done off the field, some of the events of his I've gone to just learn how to kind of carry yourself a certain way and kind of build your brand. And so I think that's the biggest thing he taught me, was just kind of helping me become more of a man and just kind of looking at life differently, looking at life to maximize every opportunity that you get here at Michigan.
Well, it's,
this is sort of this is adjacent to this topic, but it's, about one of the things that when you're watching a play unfold, it happens so fast for people who don't live it every day. The hole opens up for a millisecond, and then a guy either slips through or doesn't, and then you're in the second level. I'm curious for you, like, how much of that is instinct versus coaching? Like, it feels like it does happen so fast, and my guess is obviously what the play call is, but when you break a run that gets to the second level or beyond, what would you say is the split between how much of that's instinct in the moment versus sort of coaching and repping that play in practice?
Right. I think a small portion of that is coaching, just because I feel like there's a lot of things that you can't coach on the football field, and that's where you have to go out and find talent. But like, you can rep something in practice all week, and it can look completely different in the game. So I think the biggest thing for practice is just going and doing those reps full speed, so that when you're in the game, it might be a little slower. But in terms of just going out there and making a play, if you've consistently just played the game, you kind of know how things could unfold before they actually happen. So, like, for running a play and something happens, like, I already have a counteraction, like, in my head, like, oh, if this happens, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to go do that and that. And so I think that's what I'm best at, is just kind of flowing in between different options throughout a play.
Speaking of one more, like, thing as a stupid fan who just watches from the stands and occasionally pretends like I know what I'm talking about. One of the things that I would also love to hear your take on is how the mesh point actually works. Like, when you see these read options go, it looks like when they're run really well, the quarterback holds it until the last possible second. And I actually don't know how you don't fumble at almost every play. Like, how when it's a give versus a take, because it looks like when it's done, like I said, when it's done well, it's almost indistinguishable. How do you know when Alex or Davis is going to pull it and keep it versus it's your ball to keep?
I guess you don't really know until you know, and so you don't really know until the quarterback pulls his hands away that it's yours. But just treat every snap like it's yours and until it's not, pretty much, because that ball ends up on the ground, it's your fault. So treat it like it's yours until they kind of take it away from you.
I still don't know how it happens. That's what I hear you, man.
Yeah, because as fans, we're sitting there thinking like you're gripping it like he's got the ball in your stomach, and you're gripping it like crazy because you do not want to fumble and get yanked from the game.
Yeah,
right.
And he's trying to yank it away from you because he's like the end has crashed in and he's ready to take it.
And your eyes are probably up. You're already watching the play. Right. Yeah, no,
so
it's just one of those things.
It's still a mystery, but that's okay because we're not the guys that have to do it. But now that we're talking about specific plays,
yeah,
and you don't have to tell us what the play is, but when you're in the huddle and they call a play, is there a play that they call and you go, "Oh, I love this play. I can't wait. This is it for me." Do you have a favorite, or are you like, nah, they're all my favorites?
I mean, there's definitely plenty of plays that I prefer over others, but any play with 44 in front of me, man, it's a recipe for success when he's in the game, and so.
So for those of you listening, and you don't know, and if you're listening, you should know this, but 44 is Max Bredesen. And when I sit in the stands at every game, I love watching 44 in motion because I know when he's split out, he's eventually coming in motion. And normally it's a good thing to follow him because the ball's going to go somewhere near him. And it doesn't matter because he just knocks the crap out of people.
Yeah, no
I can see why he's a captain. Max Bredesen, he was one of our earlier guests. So we're talking about these traits that you have as a running back, or if it's instinct or not. But so there's kind of vision and patience. There's the whole acceleration, speed thing, and then there's the pass protection, toughness. What do you think your strengths are as a running back?
I think vision. Vision tends to be one of my best strengths, and then just combining that with the God-given gifts of size and speed. My vision allows me to kind of go out there and make those extra plays, and then the size and speed God blessed me with allows me to extend those plays. But ultimately, I think my ability to do everything is kind of my best ability, but vision kind of being at the forefront of that.
Now, vision, for younger kids listening along that want to be a great running back, is this just a natural thing you have that where you can feel the guy, the play, you looked at the defense when you lined up and you kind of figured you were guessing this is probably what's going to happen? Or are there drills that you do to improve your vision as a running back?
I think it's all about feel. The best thing I could tell a kid is just go out there and play as many sports as you can. I think that's what helped me the most, just playing different sports, basketball, football, baseball. And so doing that, you'll just become a better athlete, have better feel for the game, better feel for sports. So I think that'll help your vision.
How about kicking? You mentioned because we had Dominic Zavada on last, and we asked him, hey, who are the secret kickers who could nail one, at least extra point distance? How's your leg?
I don't think it's very good. It has great size and power, but I don't think it's going to go anywhere.
Okay, well then
I forget. So I would say Khalil had a sneaky good leg. He caught him kicking one, maybe in a pregame warm up or something like that. But
actually, I think Jaden Denigal used to punt in high school. He used to punt all of his punts.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right.
Tommy better watch
Tommy
Right.
seems to be doing okay. I think he was like special teams player of the week.
Yeah, he's not doing too bad.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago or so. So he's been doing just fine. But okay, now we're talking about other football skills. How's your passing arm? Because we got a lot of guys that let's see now. Bredesen was a quarterback in high school. Zach Marshall did Zach have the highest passer rating? Isn't Zach Marshall had almost a perfect passer rating in high school? Something like that?
Yeah, he was like 2. Yeah. 2 for 2, but yes, he does. Shout out.
Trick plays only. Trick play. So and we know Donovan can throw out of the running back position. Don't give away any secrets, but how is your throwing arm?
I don't think we're going my way for that skill anytime soon. But
misdirection, subterfuge for all the
enemy
combatants listening to this podcast. Keep them guessing.
So, fans see obviously the output of all this physical. It's a physical game. You're got strength and conditioning. How about, the mental aspect of playing a sport at this level with fans who can hit you up in social media? And Greg Harden, I don't, obviously Greg passed away recently, but he was, I know, a big mentor to you guys in terms of that side of life. What are some of the things you do to help you mentally prepare for the challenges associated with being a student athlete at Michigan?
I think the biggest thing is just having that supreme confidence in yourself. And so even when things aren't going my way or looking my way, the thing I've always fallen back on is hard work. And so whether that's me having to go out there in the morning and go through some things, anything to get my confidence up. And so I think I've always fallen back on hard work, and that's probably something I'll continue to do moving forward because I feel like that's just something that will always leave you feeling good about your day, is just being able to say you worked hard that day.
Yeah, I'm curious, and this is similar to the mental aspect. You made a comment actually earlier about more your generation of player. It was in the context of people going to a school like Michigan. I think you made the comment like football is still really important, but it's not everything to kids growing up now. They're looking at their life as a bigger collective whole of things: education, family. What do you think? Like, when do you think that changed, or like, what do you think helped drive that? Like, was there any like social media? It can be bad, it can be good. Like, what do you think brought that on in terms of changing the mindset of athletes to not just be like, hey, it's football or nothing, but it's football really important, but also a life beyond that. I'm just curious.
Well, I think like historically, people have looked at sports as a way out of a negative situation. At least for people in my community, is a way out of a negative situation. So I think now that times have changed and just a different generation of parents, they're wanting their kids' situation to be better than theirs. And so as families have evolved over time, it's gone from just wanting your kids to get out of a bad situation to wanting to make the best out of a good situation. And so now kids are kind of moving towards the ability to do a little more with their life than just bounce a ball, because at some point it's going to stop for all of us. So
I know we'll talk more about NIL. Do you think NIL helps with that? Like the ability to help someone at least, cover some basic expenses, put food, like do things to support themselves and their family, to like almost just like settle a few things, like just know that you've got a couple of the main things taken care of. And maybe that allows you to think more forward looking. But do you think NIL's actually helped in that case?
Yeah, I think it has, definitely, in terms of helping people meet their basic needs, but also just introducing you to different people and helping you start to build those connections for life. Because I think NIL gets confused with people just putting money in their pockets, and like, while money now is beneficial, the money that you make now won't sustain you for the rest of your life. And so you kind of got to sort of build a network of people and figure out what you're going to do after sports. And I think NIL is a great way to start doing that, by meeting different people and having different ventures to kind of get into.
And I guess while we're on that topic, I think every fan thinks their school does a terrible job of NIL, and this race for this arms race. Everyone's collective's got $500 million, and so-and-so's making X. And I know you were recently signed by Champion Circle, right? I think in terms of. But what do you think? What do you think of Michigan's NIL efforts, or what would you like to see done differently?
I think Michigan does a really good job of making the NIL efforts well-rounded in terms of just not making it all transactional, but making it transformational. And that's what Coach Harbaugh really insisted on doing. And so they're putting us in positions to do internships, meet different people, talk to different people, build relationships. So, like, a lot of people are looking at a dollar sign amount, but you can't put a dollar sign amount on the relationships you can build here at Michigan. So I think that's what's most beneficial, that our NIL program does differently than other schools.
Uh, so now, coming back to the football team here, and Harbaugh's gone now, so he's a safe topic. You got a favorite story about Jim? We've heard some good ones. We love Jim. Dan and I had opportunity to talk to him kind of one-on-one privately, and I think what people see sometimes is very different than maybe what he's like, but he's a character.
Right.
What you got any fun stories that you can share?
I just feel like there's never a dull moment with him. So many different stories to kind of harp on, but I think my favorite thing with him was just like looking back at the Indiana game. He's sort of the one who thrust me in the position to play that game, and so just him having that confidence in me to go out there and make a play on what it'd be like 3rd and 5 to go out there, get the first down, continue to drive, and I think that moment stood out to me the most. That he just kind of had that faith in me, and then even like going and saying goodbye to him, like the conversation we had was just huge in terms of building my confidence, and just having a guy like that believe in me means the world to me. So.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that moment? When he comes and grabs you and puts you into that situation. I'm just curious if what else you can share about, just about the moment, what he said, what you were feeling, and obviously it was a big deal.
Right. I mean, I don't know. It was just I hoped I would have played that game, and was kind of getting down to the last minutes. It was deep in the 3rd quarter, and he was just kind of looking around like, hey, where's Ben Hall? Where's Ben Hall? And then he kind of threw me out there to go make that play and kept me in the rest of the drive. And so, coming off the field, we scored a touchdown. He's high-fiving me, telling me I did a great job. And it's just kind of the moments you'll never forget.
You talking about Jim, and a lot of people have talked about how great the Michigan culture is, but they're not inside Schembechler Hall and the locker room and things like that. How would you, when you're back home with the guys that you played with, you mentioned being back home and talking to them, when they ask you, hey man, tell me about Michigan or whatever, how would you describe the culture at Michigan, or the cultures may be overused? How would you describe the program, to those guys that aren't in Schembechler Hall?
Right. I've never been a part of anything else, so I can't sit here and tell you how it's different than other schools, but I mean, I can just tell you the way that it's affected my life so positively. I think there's never a day where I'm not talking to somebody on the team, calling somebody on the team, doing something with somebody on the team, whether that's going to church or going bowling or chilling at somebody's house, playing the game. And I think a lot of teams may tend to have cliques, but I think that our team is just one cohesive unit, and there's nobody on the team where if I don't see them, I won't speak to them. We all kind of have our inside jokes with each other, and so I think that's the biggest thing, is just the entirety of the team kind of gelling together, and there's no one who feels like they're bigger than the next man.
What's it like, after a win, like we're recording this right after the Minnesota game, it's a gritty win, and it's kind of I don't know, it can be kind of a test of if you're a glass half empty person or a glass half full person, how you look at that. But in some ways, I think that wins like that are emblematic of the program, right? You don't give up, grit, hard work. But like, what's the mentality after a tough, hard win like Minnesota? Because I'm guessing at one point you're saying, hey, glad we got the win. The other point you're thinking there's still some stuff to improve on. But just curious on what the mindset is coming off of a game like that.
I mean, wins are hard to come by, and so we're always blessed to get a win. And just kind of moving past that moment of complacency and just doing whatever we can to go get better for the next week. Because the thing we kind of talk about, especially in the offensive room, is just being 1-0 every week. And so how can we go out here this week and be 1-0 with a big road test? And that's all we're focused on now. How can we go out there and be 1-0? How can we improve and just continue to get better as a team?
Yeah, I mean that's that, and I'm ever the optimist. That's how I view that's how I view it too. Like, for those that it's easy to forget sometimes when all programs go through ups and downs. I don't think Michigan, other than losing to the number one team in the country,
right.
Michigan's like 30-1 in their last 31 home games. but you'd think that someone just killed their pet, like, and so in some ways there's no pleasing people, but yeah, that's a good mentality. And, the team seems to stick together, and when things get tough, they batten down the hatches, keep it tight, and find a way to win.
No doubt.
How do you, along those lines, because our fans, I think fans at every major, probably Division I program, half of them are, well, more than half are crazy, right? And, and you guys are so approachable now. Everybody can find you on social media, and they probably know your University of Michigan email address somehow and all that good stuff. And they're reaching out to you and all that kind of stuff. How do you balance, but in today's world with NIL, you guys kind of are building your brand, and, you kind of need to use social media, but at the same time, it can work against you. How do you balance that? What's your secret for kind of staying away, getting rid of the noise of the people who don't matter?
I think just taking everything with a grain of salt, nothing that anybody says outside of Schebeckler Hall will really matter unless you let it. So, that's kind of what we harp on, is just keeping everything in-house, and, knowing that the people in those walls are the people that are going to help us win games. And so, what else really matters? We came here to win games. We came here to be a team, and that's what we're here to do. So everyone kind of outside of the atmosphere shouldn't affect us, and we try not to allow it.
So you got a big game. Again, we're recording this before the Washington game. You got a big game on the West Coast. Of course, we played Washington relatively recently, but it's been a long time since we kind of played a former Big Ten, them on a regular game. Just curious, schedule-wise, that's a 3-hour time difference. You guys going out Thursday, or you go out Friday?
I actually don't know. This will be my first real road game that's not Michigan State, so I'm not sure, but I just know we'll be ready to go. I'll tell you that.
Any chance you get upgraded to first class? Do they? You think you can get them to say, "Hey, coach, can I sit? I need the extra legroom." Because, no, probably not. I'll take that back. I wouldn't try that right now. So,
are you a window seat guy or an aisle seat guy?
I used to be a window seat guy, but now I'm kind of moving more towards aisle, so I can kick
the same way. I used to think the window was the best, and then it's just too cramped,
Too over there, I like to kick that leg out.
You can sneak the left leg, or you can sneak the outside leg out. Yeah, no, totally.
That's going to be a much watched game. So we're looking forward to it. So obviously, you guys, I think again, a lot of people maybe only care about what you do on Saturdays, but there are a lot of fans that are, always interested in what you do kind of off the field. As it relates to academics at Michigan, have you declared a major yet, or what are you studying?
I'm enrolling in the School of Applied Exercise Science right now, so I should officially start that major next semester. But that's what I'm kind of looking to move towards, more of a movement science type of study, and hopes of becoming like an athletic trainer down the road.
Nice. Now, Michigan is, not exactly academically easy.
Right.
So, walk us through, how do you balance, because your guys' schedule during the season is crazy, leaves very little time for academics and studying and extra work. What have you found that works for you?
These Sundays are big days. I was working on stuff until I got on here, and Mondays are a little lighter on football, more time to get work done, and then just using our resources. We have so many great resources at the Ross Academic Center right down the road from Schebeckler Hall, and so just making sure that I'm going in there and meeting with people and getting all the help I can to make sure I'm doing things the right way.
Well, if like we've screwed up an assignment that is due tomorrow, just tell the professor to call me, and we'll tell him you were busy doing this podcast.
I'll let him know. Sure.
Yeah, just I don't know if that'll help, but it can't hurt.
Are you a study on campus guy, or do you like studying at home? I went back and forth. Like, there were some times you could sneak a quiet place in like the Ugly or maybe the Grad. But yeah, what's your preferred, like? Oh, it might be the Ross Center, but yeah, what's your favorite spot to pull away and study at?
I don't know. I get a lot of work done at home. If not home, probably Ross. But if we're talking like just places with the best view, I really like the CCRB or CCCB. I'm sorry, or like the Ross Academic Center is really nice too. Ross Business School is really nice too. There's definitely plenty great spots on campus.
So shout out to CCRB, great place. That was yeah, they got some. It's gotten a facelift since I was. It's the rec building, Dan.
Yeah.
It's gotten a facelift since I. It looked like something you'd find at like. It's like where Rocky trained when he was training for Drago. There were cement blocks and back in my day.
No, it was back in 1980. It was that way too, Dan. So so. But now you touched down kind of. I think you mentioned kind of life after what you're thinking about. But when your football career is over, playing days are over. What are your aspirations?
Trying to stay around sports. Ultimately, I want to end up kind of like opening up my own training center, just trying to help athletes become the best version of themselves, whether that's kids or high school athletes, pro athletes. Just doing whatever I can to help them learn more about their body and whatever they can do to make it function at the highest level.
Any possibility you'd get into coaching?
A little bit. I mean, I'll probably get into it at some point down the road.
Michigan fans always love looking at the young guys and projecting out and saying, hey, our next coach 20 years from now will be, who knows? Like Brad Hawkins, I think, is back with the program. Brad played at Michigan, obviously. And I'm sure somebody's going to say, well, in 15, 20 years from now, Brad could be our defensive coordinator or whatever. So you could be the next, you could be the next running back coach initially and then work your way to offensive coordinator.
My favorite fan theory is the Tom Brady comes back and coaches because, that makes sense. Like taking a 20x pay cut to come deal with this and I'm sure. But actually, Tom, if you're listening, well, we got a great coach now, but, you could maybe unpaid assistant, you think?
Yeah. Right. So we mentioned, again, everyone, NIL is a big hot button these days. There's some crazy stuff going on. I think a lot of fans saw the two guys at UNLV that decided to take a red shirt because certain promises weren't, kept. I think recently, social media, you were quote unquote signed by Champion Circle, and which again, for those listening, don't know, that's the largest collective that is the official partner with Michigan Athletics. Just curious, how'd that come about, and what does that entail for you? I'm not talking money either. We're not looking. Money is a private matter. I'm just curious, how that came about, and then what are some of the things that you do as part of that?
Right. Well, I think our collective just kind of wanted to evolve with the times and kind of start moving towards the way that other schools are functioning in terms of taking care of their athletes, and so the opportunity was presented to me to kind of sign with them, start to build my brand with them. And so I took the opportunity and, it's just doing different things. And a lot of it's community based. So it's like going out and doing things for the community, doing things, help your social image, help the team's image, and just little stuff like that when we find the time to go out there and make a positive impact on the community.
So when, as you continue to build your brand and, what's your dream NIL? If you could have an NIL deal, what are we talking here? What brand or service are you looking to be the ambassador for?
I don't know.
A luxury. So we doing cars? We doing like watches? We doing food?
Probably be towards food. I mean, or like the car I have now. I got a nice old 2010 truck that I'm toting around. It's probably something with food. I like cooking a lot, so probably like something with a smoker brand. Like, 'cause I smoke a lot of meat. I'll do like brisket, turkey, chicken, pork, whatever. So
okay,
in that area.
Okay. So, Max Bredesen says he makes a mean steak, so maybe you guys can do kind of a mix of a barbecue steak thing, just a real meat thing. So,
are you in the NCAA game?
Yeah, I am.
What's that been like, seeing yourself in the game?
That was awesome. When it first came out, I played it a lot, but now I'm just so busy with other things and tired all the time. So I haven't turned on the game in probably like a month, to be honest.
How are you doing in the game though?
I was doing pretty good. I gave myself the ball every play. So
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, that game seems to be popular. I mean, Dominic Zavada talked about how he would. I don't know if you saw that, but he would log in to play the game and only kick field goals for mental preparation. And he said and he's serious. Like, it wasn't like just an excuse to play the game. It was to work on his mental, get part of the game. But well, so outside of obviously we're in season now, but last off season, how'd you spend your time in the off season?
I was here for the most part in Ann Arbor. I had just moved into my apartment, so getting things situated there. And, I don't like being away from here too long, just because this is the environment I feel like I work the best in and the best facility to be in. So just kind of being here for the most part. It's what I did.
No, I know some guys had internships kind of through Empower. Did you do any internships this summer?
Yeah, I was down in Orlando for a week with New Home Star.
David Rice.
Rice, yeah, and building that relationship it was huge. I talk to him at least once a week now, and when he's up here, we talk often. He's kind of turned into a real backbone I can lean on for support and advice, and so.
Oh, that's great. I mean, Jacob Oden had mentioned he was part of that. He was down there too, and he was blown away by all the fancy mansions you all saw as part of the tour. So it was real eye opening, but great. It sounds like he's been a great mentor to you guys, which is part of the Michigan thing that you talked about earlier, in terms of life beyond and after football, so to speak. And you also you mentioned, are you looking to do this coming off season? Some of the NIL stuff you talked about helping the community. Are you looking to do some camps this summer for kids?
God willing, if I have the platform to do so, I'd love to do so. The biggest thing with that is just kind of making it free for the kids.
Right.
I just kind of like to give them the opportunity to come out there, be in a good environment to grow as people and athletes. But me and Alex, I just did something not too long ago. We did a back to school drive for some kids in Detroit, and where I think we ended up raising about $20,000, help buy some kids back to school, clothes, shoes, supplies, and I just gave them a day to be away from home, kind of be around us, be around the team, and be around different guys. And it was all ran by me and Alex, but we got partnered with StockX and some other good people down in Detroit to help us do that. Nice.
That's awesome stuff, and it makes a big impact. And again, it's nice to see you guys off the field doing stuff, and it sounds like you got some good out of it as well. So that's cool.
That's
wasn't just not
things about NIL, I think, which is like the entire, not just Michigan, but it feels like the athletics community in general is very they look out for each other. Like, it does feel like there's a good sense of, like, not only just giving back to the community, but just giving back to, you went to a camp as a kid and then you pay it forward. There does seem like a really good sense of paying good deeds forward. So it is great that you can do that. What you do have to watch out for is, I do see a lot of clips of guys getting cooked at their own camps. What do you make of that? You think that's real? Like, I saw one of Tyreek Hill getting burned by some 12-year-old.
Nah, you won't see me lacing up the cleats at anything.
Okay, you just stay clear of that. Yeah.
Yeah, save myself the embarrassment for sure.
Well, this is we're going to do a 2-minute drill here, and again, as I remind folks, this takes way longer than 2 minutes, but we've saved all our timeouts. And
before we go to the 2-minute drill, one funny thing that doesn't really require Ben's, but just a funny thing about prepping for this episode. So I Wikipedia Ben Hall. Ben, I want to list out some of the other Ben Halls that I got back, just to see if you'd want to trade places with any of these guys. The first Ben Hall I found was shot and killed in 1865. He's the most famous Australian bushranger and founded the Gardner Hall Gang, famous in 1800s Australia. You could also be Ben Hall, the active Fox News correspondent. There's that guy.
That sounds
There's
good.
also Ben Hall, who passed away in 1970, but is known for his literary work that contributed to the study of architecture of movie theaters. So, any of those Ben Halls sound like you would want to swap places with them?
I don't know. I've never been to Australia, so maybe I'll take that trip, huh?
We got to maybe the team can take you to Australia, but
That's a new and possibly last segment called Dan's Last Minute Research, brought live on the podcast. I just thought that was funny.
I think I'd rather be one of the living Ben Halls than one of the two dead ones, Dan. That was really.
I mean, running back at Michigan or Fox News correspondent. I'm going to take running back at Michigan, but.
All right, no doubt.
Yeah. All right, so we got some quick questions. If you weren't a football player, what sport would you be playing?
I'd hope basketball, to be honest.
Not so. You mentioned baseball. You played some baseball in high school, kind of thing.
I played baseball young
Okay,
kid.
all right. Okay, so basketball makes sense. And point guard. Michigan basketball team now. I think they're full up now from a scholarship standpoint, but they had a lot of guys leave, and then they got a lot of guys through the portal. Did you ever think about, hey, maybe I'll go over and introduce myself to Dusty May and say,
right.
I'm here.
I've spoken to him before. I think he's known as a little practice player in the offseason, man. Let me get some running with the guys. But,
Yeah. Your dad, when he was coaching basketball, was he coaching college basketball?
Yeah, he coaches college basketball still.
Nice.
He coaches basketball.
Did he like know anything about Dusty May? Just curious, like had they bumped into each other in some circles of coaches or?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Not sure.
Seems like a good guy.
Well,
right.
He's like me. He's a big fan of the Schmedium shirts. I've noticed. Dusty May wears them tight. If you were in charge of the NCAA for a day, what changes would you make?
I don't know. I think they're doing things the right way, kind of moving towards building some things that should have been done a while ago. But
what's your take? What's your thought on the portal?
I think it's tricky. I'm not against it, but I think that you just got to figure out why you're going into it and what you're looking to get out of it, because a lot of guys end up regretting leaving where they are going or leaving where they're from. So I think you just have to figure out why you want to enter it and kind of just leave it up to God at that point.
Yeah, there's some crazy stats on the portal. Something like, I mean, somebody could fact check this, but I think roughly half the guys that enter the portal don't find a landing spot.
Yeah.
And now some of those guys are probably at the end of their eligibility, and maybe, they weren't playing much anyway, and they thought they'd give it one more shot. But, I'm sure the talented guys that were stars on a team, they're going to find a landing spot. But a lot of guys don't find a landing spot. So it's a tricky thing. Right. Maybe not as tricky if you've already graduated and you're taking a flight. You got one more year of eligibility, but okay.
If I were in charge, by the way, no one asked, but if I were in charge, I would outlaw the blue turf at Boise State. Hurts my eyes. Yep. It's the worst thing. 10 o'clock at night, you're flipping channels. Oh, you have a stroke when you're trying to watch football. That's what I would do.
That is they were on ESPN.
Birds. It kills birds.
They were on ESPN this morning. I think they had a top play. I thought I saw it too. It does hurt the eyes. All right, you've been in Ann Arbor long enough now. You probably have a favorite place to eat. Where is it?
I probably go to Tide the most.
How hot can you go? How on the sauce selection?
Funny story. I went there for the first time, like way early in my freshman year with this girl, and I'm just thinking, like, I'm the king of kings. I go in there, I get the yoga flame, and halfway through the meal, I'm in there dying, coughing. She's looking at me crazy, like, I told you so. I told you shouldn't. I was like, no, I'm good. Don't worry about me. But I was in there dying.
You got tears running down your face.
Right? Look crazy.
Yoga flame is up. If that's not the top one, it's
the fourth. It's fourth out of 4 out of 5.
Okay.
Dad, I'm usually pretty good with spicy food. I would say medium's even like on the cusp of like you're not enjoying it anymore. Like you're just grinding through it. That's bold. But if you're on a date, I get it. Like you just can't order no sauce or mild. Like
No, gotta get something.
gotta get.
Isn't it, just that kind of is that young lady still around or not part of the program?
Nah, I'm not part of the program. No.
Okay. I mean, people had that. I mean, people want to know, so we got to follow up with that. I mean, people want to know. Okay. I mean, it had nothing to do with probably Yoga Flame, but I mean, okay. You got a favorite movie?
I don't know. I don't know favorite movie. I'll offer you a favorite TV show. I'll
Nice.
go to The Office. I watch The Office a lot. I've been
Really?
watching
Okay.
for the past 8 or 9 years consecutively, I'd say. So.
Okay.
It's a good one to kind of like just decompress and just not think about anything. What has surprised you the most about Ann Arbor?
I don't know. I think what never fails to amaze me is just always having that stadium packed out. I mean, it never fails. Every Saturday, any given Saturday, you look around, and there's not an empty seat in that place, and so I think that's what continues to amaze me.
Yeah, I think a lot of fans, or not a lot of people watching television and see like the student section sometimes looks a little empty at the top. That's only because all those students, half of them have been overserved, are crashing down, and they're compacting in there. So don't take that to mean that the stadium isn't sold out. It's they're just
half is generous, by the way.
But yeah. But yeah, no, it is an amazing thing to think about when they read off there's 110,000 people, and then you think about how many towns in the U.S. don't even come close to 110,000 people. So every home Saturday, a major town is basically compressed into that stadium. And
Crazy.
And and again, more than half the people and the fans around me, at least, know more about football than our coaching staff. And I'm surprised the coaching staff has not taken them up on all their free advice, because they've got some wonderful thoughts.
They just have a roulette wheel, and they'll spin it, and they'll be like, you either danced around and didn't hit the hole, or you need to stop dancing around and go north-south. It's the best. And I should play bingo. I would be able to line up 4 in a row, no problem. That's why.
I see in that nice little apartment there, you got a ball game on, an NFL game. So that's Sunday. We're recording this on Sunday. Who's your favorite? You got a favorite NFL player?
I really like Lamar Jackson, but if we're talking running backs, I really like Alvin Kamara. And then player that's growing on me a lot right now, CJ Stroud, even though he went to that school down south. But just the way he carries himself and how he keeps God first, that's really, really big with me.
I think, we joke aside, but I think it shows how big a person you can be when because somebody at Ohio State would probably never say anything nice about it. It feels like, and by the way, I went to high school. I graduated high school in Columbus, Ohio. So I know a lot of those people.
Yeah.
It is a passion, almost beyond reason at times. So the fact that you can say something good, but that's because, he's a good player,
No doubt.
He just didn't have any success against us.
Right.
When he was in college. But
that makes him easier to root for, actually, because I kind of like him too. So it actually makes it a little bit easier, because you're like, oh, I don't have these memories of like him, like a bunch of bad memories. So it actually makes it easier. It also makes it easier. He throws to Nico Collins. So I actually kind of like CJ Stroud too. But
good call. Okay. We're CJ. Okay. CJ Stroud. We're fans.
Ben, what's your hidden talent? People can know, but just we don't know.
I don't know. Probably cooking.
Are you can you sing?
Terrible singer.
Terrible singer. Dance?
Terrible singer. Terrible dancer.
Can't sing, can't dance. Okay. Juggle?
You're in welcome company.
Can't juggle either. I don't know. I run the ball well, I'll tell you that.
That's kind of important on Saturdays. If you said you could sing and dance but couldn't really run the ball well, people really would question why.
Right.
You were here. So, no, that's good. I'm glad we cleared that up. So when you look around the locker room, who's most likely to succeed outside of football?
I think So many guys. I mean, that's why you come here. You're surrounded by guys who want to do more than football. So, too many to name, but just to name a few: Andrew Gentry, Alex Orji, Zach Marshall, Donovan Edwards, Khalil Mullings. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, there's so many great guys in that locker room, and so.
Well, yeah, we don't know all those names. I mean, as it relates to the podcast, but we have had, Gentry and Marshall on, and really enjoyed our conversations with them. And I can see why you say that about those two guys. If we had to narrow it down, we got a presidential election coming up. Who gets your vote on the team? Who's the president and vice president ticket?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends what our country needs at the moment. I don't know. I think someone who just has their head on their shoulders real well. Probably Alex Orji.
Yeah. Okay.
Vice president might go to like Will Johnson or Colson Loveland or something like that. I mean, there's so many guys that have good head on their shoulders, and so I think when you kind of look at people who would mesh well together, it'd be like those kind of people.
That's awesome.
We've had Colson's been shouted out twice, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Colson for
Well,
president.
Dominic said he would vote for him 1,000 times, which that would be voter fraud.
We don't condone
Voter fraud. We've had issues with that, so we don't want to do that again. But I mean, but I think he was just joking. So anyway, but hey, Ben, this has been awesome. I mean, I'm glad we got to talk to you, and I know, the running back right now with Khalil and Donovan, seem to give you most of the carries, but they've only got a few games left in their career at Michigan. And you're one of the next guys up in that room, and we're excited to see it. Love seeing the way you ran it, the times you have been on the field, and I think fans are excited to see you. Don't feel like there's going to be a drop off, so we're excited that we could get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I'm happy to be here.
All right, thanks.
Go
Yes,
Blue.
sir. Go Blue.